Hi there, all my crafty friends, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to turn a simple plastic bell ornament from Dollar Tree into a spectacular Christmas ornament using a few simple things like a napkin, some gold metal flakes, and air dry clay. So if you're ready, let's make a mess. I got this plastic bell ornament at Dollar Tree. I separated the front and back, and I'm painting both with some white paint. One coat didn't give me good coverage, so I added a second coat of paint and let it dry for a couple of hours. If I got any paint in the track where the front and back go together, I wiped it off. If there's any paint in the track, it won't fit back together. After the paint dried, I glued both pieces together and let that dry overnight. I separated the layers of my napkin by removing the bottom two layers. I'm only going to use the top layer with the printed image on it. I tore out two of the large flowers. I'll be using one for the front and one for the back. I tore off any of the sharp edges. When decoupaging, it's always best to work with torn edges rather than a sharp cut edge. A torn edge is easier to blend. I'm using Polyvine Decorator's Varnish as my decoupage glue. It works so much better than Mod Podge. It can be used for glue and varnish. This product is very impressive, and I've been using it quite a lot. This formula is somewhat heat and water resistant. There are several formulas, and some are highly heat and water resistant. Polyvine is also UV resistant, so you can feel free to put your creations in sunlight without fear of fading. And this product can be purchased from DecoupageNapkins.com. I also purchased this gorgeous napkin from them as well. And I'm going to tell you all about them in just a minute. I'm painting the bell with the Polyvine and laying the napkin on the bell. I have the pieces bigger than what I need, so I'm wrapping it around to the other side. I'll add smaller pieces to fill in any gaps. I made several tears in the napkin so it would bend around the form properly. Here's something interesting about Polyvine. I've noticed that you don't get the wrinkles like you do with Mod Podge. I'm not sure exactly why, but this is a dream come true. I hate wrinkles. When you're unable to use the water method, this product will save you. The water method doesn't work well when you're wrapping a napkin around a form. If you want to know how to decoupage using the water method, I have a couple videos on how to do that. And I'll leave you a link in my description box below. DecoupageNapkins.com has such a great selection of rice papers as well as napkins that you can purchase one at a time. Rub-on transfers, molds, modeling clay, stencils, stamps, scrapbook paper, and much more. Over 6,500 products. And carry 3 new lines of paint. Dixie Belle Chalk Mineral Paint, Clay Mud Paint, as well as Pentart in a wide range of colors. They are wonderful to work with and send out their orders fast. They offer several automatic discounts when checking out on orders over $50, $75, and $125. Subscribe to their newsletter by entering your email address and you'll receive 10% off your next order. Make sure you check them out. I'll leave you a link in my description box below. I let that dry for about an hour. I'm making a really pretty poinsettia using a clay mold and some air dry clay. I used a straw to cut a hole in the center, and I'm going to place this over the top of the bell. I added some tacky glue and pressed it tight against the bell. I let that dry overnight. Now it's time to paint the clay poinsettia. I chose a red that matches the red in the napkin. If you're enjoying this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. And why not share this with a friend? Thanks for doing that. I'll let that dry for about 30 minutes. I'm going to give this bell an aged porcelain look by adding a crackle finish. I'm using Pentart's Fine Line Crackle Varnish. It's a two-part system and I'm brushing on component number 1. I'll let that dry for about an hour or so until it's clear. Once dry, I'll brush on component number 2. This step is an amber color. Use thin, even strokes. If you get a buildup or drips anywhere, it'll show when dry. I'll let this dry for a couple of hours. Once dry, you'll see the cracks. After using Fine Line Crackle Varnish, you cannot use any water-based products. It will ruin your crackle finish. You can only use solvent-based antiques and sealers. You can use a heat gun or blow dryer for just a couple of minutes to make more and deeper cracks. I'm going to add some antiquing and that will make all the cracks stand out. I'm using Master's Touch oil paint in the color Raw Umber as my antiquing medium. I'm applying it with a soft cloth and then wiping it off right away. It will stay in all the cracks and crevices, making all those nice cracks show up. Oil paint is very reasonable in cost and does the same thing as the expensive antiquing paste, and it comes in various colors, so you can get some very interesting finishes. I used a small paintbrush to get in the tighter spots, like between the bell and the poinsettia, and then wiped upwards. And I let this dry overnight. Where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments. It's fun to see what cities and countries you are all watching from. I'm filming from Las Vegas, Nevada in the United States. I want the little ringer at the bottom to be gold, so I'm going to add some metal flakes. The first step is to add some adhesive and let it dry. It dries quickly in about 20 minutes, and it will be sticky when dry. I'm calling it a ringer, but I'm not sure that's what it's actually called. Do any of you out there know? Let me know in the comments. Once dry, we can add the metal flakes. I'm laying them on the bell ringer with tweezers and then rubbing them a little bit with my finger. Once I have the area covered, I'm using a stiff brush to remove all the loose edges from where it overlapped. So pretty. I'm using a solvent-based varnish on the entire ornament. I'll let that dry for about an hour and then add a second coat. I ended up giving it 3 coats of varnish, waiting an hour between coats, then let it dry for a few hours before moving on. I'm using some metallic wax rubs in white gold and pearl white to highlight the poinsettia on top and the ringer on the bottom. I love to layer 2 or more colors of rubs. It gives you an interesting result. These are the nicest metallic rubs I've ever used. They're soft and creamy, which makes it very easy to work with. And they are available at decoupagenapkins.com. I let that dry for about an hour and then gave it another coat of varnish. I'm using some small gold cord to add a hanger. If you put both ends through the hole and feed the ends through the loop, your ornament will hang on the tree straight instead of sideways. Now I'm making a simple crossover bow using some red velvet ribbon. I'll scrunch it up in the middle and tie it with some of the gold cord. I made another bow using some gold lame ribbon and tied it in the center as well. I glued both together in the center and then added a white poinsettia in the center of the bow. I duplicated this and made a second bow. I'll glue one in the front and one in the back. I left all the gold cord strings, but snipped them a little bit shorter. I put together a playlist of some other tutorials you may enjoy. Click the picture on the right to be taken directly to that playlist. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe by clicking my picture in the top right corner so you don't miss any future videos.